Are you in love with someone's potential? This can also be called limerence. It's a state where you have created a fantasy, idealized version of someone or how you think they could potentially be, and then you're totally obsessed with and in love with that version of them. But the thing is, that version of them is not showing up in your real life, is not standing in front of you. More often than not, the version of them that you're seeing is maybe even the opposite. Maybe the person is very damaged, not treating you right, not wanting a relationship. A typical example of this is, let's say you're dating someone and that person tells you, I'm not ready for a relationship. I don't want a relationship with you. And then you start thinking, oh, maybe they'll change. Maybe they will change. Maybe if I do this, maybe if I stick around, they'll change. Maybe if I encourage them and show them how nice it is to be in a committed relationship with me, they will change and they'll become a good partner. But that's not how they're showing up at all. And you are over here fantasizing about how it's going to be in a real relationship with them. It's heartbreaking, and it's a waste of your time. If someone tells you that they're not interested in a serious relationship, then you gotta believe them. You gotta believe them. You don't want to stick around after someone tells you that they are not interested in a serious relationship. You don't want to stick around at all. You want someone with self-respect, with self-esteem would look them in the eye and say, you know what, that's fair. I am interested in a serious relationship, so I'm going to end this right now and go out and find someone who wants what I want. There's also another great example of being in love with someone's potential, and it is in toxic relationships. Someone who's in a relationship with an abusive person, mentally, hopefully not physically, but someone who isn't treating them well in one way or another, they might fantasize about this idealized version of that person. Probably that idealized version of the person that they saw at the very early stages of the relationship during the love bombing stage, right? So they'll fantasize about, oh, but he used to do this, she used to do that, they used to do that. And then that version of them, that idealized version of them is stuck in your head, okay? And it's actually not helping you. It's really, really not helping you because you're blind to see what's right in front of your eyes. And then you have this whole romance in your head. In all these cases, you have this limerent relationship with someone who's not really there. You have a limerent relationship with a fantasy. Let's just unpack the term limerence. Okay, the limerence means that you have an unhealthy infatuation with someone, romantic obsession. So these types of relationships are usually, they're very obsessive. You think about it all the time because you don't have it. You are keeping the fantasy alive. That's the only way you can stay in a relationship like this. It's by constantly fantasizing, thinking, imagining, trying to figure out ways to make it work. It takes up your entire life, limerence. And when it's very bad, it's extremely destructive to your life because you don't get anything done. You neglect your friends, you neglect your studies, your work. The only thing that really matters is solving the problem, fixing the relationship, getting to that place where you can actually be with this idealized version of your partner or the person you're dating. But you don't want to be in a relationship like that. You want to be with someone who is already what you want. You know, that's really what you want, but you are obsessed with this particular thing working out, and that's why you cannot let it go. Limerence often also means stalking them on social media, especially if you're dating. If you're in a relationship, it's a bit different, but you can still be pretty obsessed with your partner and maybe even controlling of your partner if you are feeling limerent, and if they are what we call your limerent object. So the thing is, limerence can only exist if you are in a bad place. Limerence can only exist if you're actually not feeling that great in your life, if the relationship actually isn't great, if the dating isn't going well. If everything is going well, if the relationship is healthy, limerence can't exist. Because then you have a real person in front of you, flaws and all, and you have to just accept that person. With limerence, you're not accepting any flaws. You're just in love with a fantasy. You're not in love with a complex human. You're in love with a fantasy, and it's a way for you to escape reality. And it's probably, if you're doing it, it's probably something you've been doing your whole life. There was a point in your life where you had to use this as a defense mechanism, as a way to cope with life, because maybe things weren't that great when you grew up. Maybe a parental figure left you. Maybe your parents got divorced. Something, right? So you had to be very creative and good at imagining things being in a more idealized way than what they actually were. Abandonment is usually at the core of limerence, abandonment, and then imagining that this abandonment isn't real, or making a different version of the truth to soothe your nervous system. It's really heartbreaking, and you deserve to be in a real relationship and not in a relationship where you have to fantasize about an idealized version of somebody. Okay? So it is like limerence is love addiction. It is like an addiction. So you need to quit the addiction, find a real person with real flaws and all that you can love and accept as they are, who wants to be with you, who treats you well. That's it. And then find a way to get happy in your own life, because that absolutely kills limerence. If you find a way to be super satisfied, super happy, limerence just can't exist. I hope this video was helpful. Please, if you have any comments or questions, you can write them down here below. I'll do my best to answer as many as possible. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to my channel if you like this content, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.